Um, Good day. Uh, so we are going to continue from where we stopped, which is uh, the use of Power Query. So in the first introduction to Power Query, we imported a data from a table, something like this, and so we actually went to data and table from range, and we got our data source, and we then did what they call transformation. Now, it has done some transformation for us. We can then decide to, for instance, it changed the data types. And if you want to go back uh, a step backwards to just importing this data, which is the source in the applied step, you can just clean this or delete that change type. And if you notice that, you then see that the data type close to each of the columns now a little bit weird. Before this was ABC, now it's ABC123, showing, denoting that it doesn't really know what data type to put this particular column, categorize this particular column in. So as we discussed earlier, it's really important that each and every um, column has a data type. So for instance, this is text, this is country, which is also text, product is also text. This band, this band is also discount band is also text. Unit sold is a value of 1, so it has to be whole numbers. I mentioned that anything that has to do with price should be either in a currency or decimal. And unfortunately, our date column has to be in date format. So how do we do that? So what I can then do is to click on this data type for segment and go to select text alone. Then you see ABC. Now that I can do that, or I can click on the segment I want to change the data type to and go to home, go to data type where you see any, and just change it to text. Now the differences between what I did here and what I did here is that this can be applied to multiple columns. So for instance, while this is only for that particular column alone. Now, so what do I mean? So I can select using shift, I'll select the first column I want to change to text data type, select the last column I want to change data type. So from segment, country, product to this band, discount band, I want to select everything using my shift, selecting the first column and holding my shift button and selecting the last. Then I want to change this to text. I can then go to home, go to data type and convert it to text. So that's different. Now for units sold, I'm going to change it to whole number because it's the only column that has whole number. The rest in terms of pricing usually is, you either change it to decimal or um, currency. So for this, I'm going to select the manufacturing price up to the profit using my shift, holding down my shift key. I either go to currency. So this currency, it will just show default of dollar, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's in dollar. So the date, so this is date time, but one date. So we can then click on this little icon here and just go to date, and we are good. So when we are done, let's say this is what I want to do in terms of transformation, we are going to go off it and say, so I usually like to say close and load to, and I'm going to load it as a connection first. So it is just there, like it is, the transformation is there, but it's between existence and non-existence. It exists in the Power Query, but it's not, doesn't exist here physically. And so if I then do that, I'll see my query and connections here. I can then right click on my query and connections and load to, and I'm going to load it as a table. I'll create a new sheet for it. The Power Query table name is Docker, so I'm going to create a table for it. Where do I want to place it? On a new worksheet. I want to also add it as add this data to the data model. I can either do that or just don't do that. And so then I can then see my dockers. Now say if I do any kind of transformation here now, a new transformation, say for instance I want to get the month name and the year. What I can then do from the date column, I think we did this last session. I'll just go to transform, I'll go to date, and say I want to get the month name. I just click on the date, I'll go to month, and there's name of month, which I'm going to see here. I'll do the same thing for, oh, okay. This is not what I want. I actually want to add a new column, so I'll just go to add a new column and go to date. I'll go to month and name of month, and it's going to give me on a new column. The other thing I might want to do is to get the year, and maybe the month number, which is from 1 to 12. So month, I can just go to month, and I'll just get 1 2 3 and so on. So, and when I'm done, I'll just go to file, I'll just go to load, and automatically it's going to load the new data. Now this is my data source here. It has nothing has changed. Remember, all my transformation that is in this particular new table is from Power Query. It's not going to really affect anything in my source data. So just a recap of the basics. Now I can either, for my source data, I can either fetch data from internal source or external source. So what do I mean? What I just did now was my source data for this particular transformation that I did. Transformation meaning like I made a lot of changes to my initial table from the source data. Is located within the workbook I have my Power Query. My external source will be that the source data I want to use to do whatever it is I want to do, it will be from elsewhere. So let me show you what that means quickly. So I'm just going to draw data source. Maybe I'll just draw an infograph. Internal, and maybe increase the font just because I can, and maybe just put it in the middle just because I can. Then I'm gonna put it in, and I'll say external. Then if I remember correctly, this will be my Power Query. So I'll just say so Power Query requires, for you to see Power Query, like I mentioned in the previous session, I think you require a data source. So you always require a data source for Power Query to get activated on your Microsoft Excel. So for Power Query, for you to activate Power Query, you actually need a data source, and your data source can either be internal, as I mentioned earlier, or external. So now we've done, like I said, the internal. We are then going to do the external. So I have a new workbook here named book one. I've not really named it. And so let's say I actually want to get my data from this data source. Now from my data source here, this is the financial workbook. It's in Excel format. I think I did mention format file extensions we can get our data from, but I'll discuss that again. So I have a table here inside sheet 1. So this is a table because why do I say this is a table? So if you look at the worksheet for this Dockers table, it doesn't have like a table design. If I go to sheet 1, if I click on it, it does have a table design, so it means it's a table. I can name it anything. I can just say anything. So this is in capital letter, right? So now Dockers is also a table because Power Query, we imported it as a table from Power Query now. So we have two tables, 3 sheets, and one has, I name it table, but in reality this is really not a table. I think I discussed about table formatting in a previous class session before introduction to Power Query. So I'm going to save this. I actually want to import this Dockers table into my Power Query, and rightly so. So what I'm then going to do is go to my data. Now this time around I can't use from table stroke range because this data is not found in my book 1 workbook of Excel, this Excel. I will then go to my get data, usually from file. Now what I want is an Excel workbook. I'll click on it. I'll go to where the directory or the folder where I stored my financial data, so the data, my financial workbook, which is here. I'll then double click on it. Now a navigation pane is going to come up or pop up. So this is a navigation pane or a navigator. Now you can see that it has noticed about 5 different things. Meanwhile, I have only 3 worksheet in this financial workbook. Now what it is, if you remember earlier, I said the financial workbook has 3 worksheet and 2 tables, so it is actually recognizing these 2 tables. What I said is I want to import this, and if I click on this I will see the preview. If I want to select multiple, I can just click on select multiple to allow me to select multiple, but I really don't want to select multiple. I just want this particular table. There's really no difference between any of the table because almost all of them are the same thing. So I'll click on transform. But there's a reason why I want to show us using the Dockers table. Now if I go to my apply step, it has applied some step. It has imported this data from the source. So if I click on these settings, you can actually see that this is it importing my data from the directory as Excel. And you have a lot of things you can import your data as. Then the next thing is navigation. It has said that what I want to navigate is Dockers table. But what I want to navigate to is Dockers table. It has promoted header and so on and so forth. So I want to remove these 3 steps by clicking on the red button by the left hand side of the step. Now so I can then see I have the same thing I had earlier in the navigator, but what I want is actually Dockers table. I'll just click on this. The reason why I think to click on this data column is because it has like an arrow, a back and forward arrow. It shows that it has something there. I'll just click on that. That is what I want. So it has added 2 more steps because it thinks that is what I want, and so I'm just going to delete the 2 steps, and we can then see what we have. At first glance, sometimes you are going to, when you import your data, you're going to see your table like this. Meanwhile, this is not how you want your table to be. Maybe the first row is what you want to have as your table header or your title, or maybe you want to redo it, you do this naming yourself. Maybe the data set you imported don't have like a title. So, but in this case, my first row is what I want my title to look like. So how do I go about that? I can either go to my home, go to transform, that is close query, manage column, reduce rows, sort and transform. Go to use row as header. I'll just click on it and use first row as header, and you can see it has used first row as header. It has added another step for me that I don't want. Basically it's just the formatting that we did earlier. So in order for me to format, I'll just click on what I want to format, go to any, go to text. This I just want to format it alone by going to whole number. Manufacturing price to profit, I want to do the same thing. I'll put currency, and for date, I can see my date is not well formatted. It's not a problem. I'll just go to my data type here and just go to date, and it's going to format it to the date. And then we can then decide to do add column, go to date, add the name of the month, add the month, then year. But in whatever transformation it is I want to do. Let's say, okay, so there's also one thing I might want to transform. So I want to replace United States to USA because, you know, the one and the same. I can click on the country column. I'll go to home. I'll go to transform. Sorry, I'll go to replace values. And what I just want to do is anywhere I see United States of America, United States of America. Oh, mind you, this is case sensitive, so I'll just put USA, and I've done that for me. Now, mine, always try as much as possible to name your apply steps in such a way that you are able to read it. So like what I did here, I'll just write, you can say change as a abbreviated USA, abbrev, I can say abbrev USA, USA in country column. That's what I did. This is self-explanatory. What I can do here is change data type, or I will just say data type formatting, or anything you think makes sense. Formatting. What do I do? Okay, so I want to change this everything here to capital letter. What I can then do is just to click on the column. I'll just go to format, and I'll say uppercase. I'm done. What can I do? Okay, so I think we always like to remove Montana, so I can filter out Montana in this particular data set, if you remember from the previous session, and I'm done. Now, like I said, this does not, I can just say uppercase here will be segment uppercase, right? Segment column of uppercase text. I'll just say. Then I filter out what Montana. Filtered Montana from products. So it is self-explanatory. Anybody who is seeing my work would have an idea of what is happening here. And so it gives whoever so it's more or less like you are doing a documentation to whoever is looking at your work. What else? Yeah, I think that should be all. um I can then go to close and load, uh, close and load to. Like I said, I usually prefer to load as a connection, after which I can then load, right click and load to as my table, new workbook. My name of my table name for the Power Query is Dockers. If I want, I can change it to something else by right clicking on my query and connection, that particular connection, go to edit. It will take me to my Power Query and just change it, the table name for this new table, to, I'll just say financials, and just click on OK. Then I'll just click on close to load. I'll right click, load to table, new workbook, new worksheet, just like a pivot table. And I'm just going to get my new worksheet here, and you can see all the transformation that I did. Now, mind you, it has no effect on my source data. um so what else can I do to this? Now for my table here, I can actually add, because it's a standard table, I can add a slicer as what we did before. I can add a slicer for country and so on. I can also add another slicer for, click on it, go to slicer for maybe year, you know. I can format it in such a way that, so if I click on year, and it's only going to give me to put a filter, and put a and only filter um, data for just 2023, 2024. If I want to make this more nicer and cute, I can go to the slicer settings and just click on number of column to be 2, so that it's more like this, more flat. The same thing for this. I can add, just make it more. you know. So if I want to filter for the country, so as you can see, I really don't need to do my filter again by adding slicer. And this is to clear the filter, that's to remove the filter. So one of the things I think I kind of like about table, because it will make your work a little bit easier. And so basically that is how to import data from an external source. um okay, so let's say I want to know, like, between this transaction and today, how many days. I can right click and go to my Power Query editor and do some calculations using the M code. So you use M code um for writing custom based formula. Now I want to know the number of days from today, from current date today. So what I can then do is just to click on the date column. I'll just go to add column, and I will add a custom column because I want to write a formula. I don't really need to click on the date actually. And so a pop-up is going to come up to add a custom column formula. I can see um what should I give it? I would say um hmm, just a number of this, number of, so what's the English sef? Let me see. uh I think it's not month to date, inception to date. Yeah, I think it's inception to date. So inception to date balance represent the total activity, both actual and budget, that occurs since the start of project. So I'll just say ITD in capital. So when did this person start? Now, what do I want to make a reference to? I want to do today's date minus this. So basically what I'm then going to do is, if I want to call today's date, I think I'll say date date uh, date let me see, I want to get the date uh date from, I think, date time dot I think date time dot, it is date time to be dot date time dot now, date time, I think is dot, the date time will now be local, I think it's local now. So it will be date time dot local now. Now I think this is what I wanted to write. So it will be date time, then date time. So you should just get the date from that. Now if I just do this alone, it's going to give me today's date. Oh, so it's saying that oh, sorry, I was supposed to put something there. Sorry. So the local now I'm supposed to put like a parenthesis. Sorry, I think. Yikes. Then I made a mistake. So it's saying that the date time wasn't recognized, which is weird. Or I can just say, okay, so maybe I can just remove the first date time. You know what, I use M code and I really don't. Oh, so that's giving me today's date. So it will be date from, so because if I say just date time the local now, it's going to give me both date and time that I don't want. So it will give me both date and time. I'll now start formatting, and what I want to do is to do a minus. If I say minus this particular date here, which is here, it's going to give me an error because this is formatted in only date alone, while this, the output of this date time dot now is in date time. So what I'm then going to do, just the date from dot from, and again, you don't need to really memorize these things. You just need to practice. I think, again, you can see how I'm struggling with it because I really didn't memorize. But from Microsoft Excel, with the use of formulas and functions, we're able to get the hang of. So this is what they call M code. It's a Microsoft built-in code syntax in Power Query. So then I'll just click on OK, and I'll get like a day, like a number of days. And so I don't really want this like this. What I want to is to format it to, I'm going to format it to maybe whole numbers, just to get the number of days. So he's saying that between that true? Oh, that's a long time. Oh wow, that's a long time. I thought this was 2023. So but I can test it by changing 2023 and 2013 2014 to 2023 by going to home. Oh sorry, I think transform. I'll replace value. I would say, if you see slash 2024, change it 2014, change it to slash 2024, and oh, I don't know. So the reason why it is showing me an error is because this is supposed to be some form of a number. So I think I'll just do this and it's fine. So it will help me change the 2014 to 2024, and I will do the same thing for 2013. I just want to see the number of days, if it has changed. So it will be 2013 to 2023. Now let's click on OK. Now nothing is going to happen. The reason is because, yeah, when I did this transformation, this is a new transformation. You can see it's a new record. What I can then do is to just shift this, what I did here. I can just shift it to, to this particular place so that it comes before. And so when it comes before the minus transformation I did, it can then apply. If I then come back to this change type, it will come back to the latest calculation that I did, and you can see that the number is a little bit smaller. I really don't know why it did not. This didn't work. Wow, it is supposed to work. 2014. Let me see. That if here when it's supposed to work, but it didn't work. Is weird. Oh no, I don't mean one. I just mean this. It actually formatted the the date for me, and I don't want that. I just want, because it knows that this is a date, you know. Let me see. Let me see what it did. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this replacement, this replacing of 2022 24, I will take it before the data type formatting, and so hopefully it does the magic for me. Okay, so apparently it did not. Oh, okay, so it didn't because it was, okay, so I get now. It didn't because it wasn't a date format before. So what I can then do is to just, it's not much of a problem. I can then go to the source data and change this to a proper date. Let me just do close and load so that I have some level of control. It's going to load my new data here, and what I just want to do is just to reduce the number of days to, something that is more realistic and we can make use of it, which is 2023 2024. So I'm just going to open my source data, but the problem is, even if I open my source data, I'm unable to change anything there because it means I have to save this first. So let me just save this just to be sure. I think I will replace this. Yeah. So I'm just going to go to Control N, and I'll close this. I would open my finance data. I would rightly format this to a date format instead, and I'll go to short date, and I would do my replacement. So by say Control H, also if you see 2014, change it to 2024. I'll do replace all. So it will do that for me. Then I'm going, oh sorry, Control H. I'll say 2013, change it to, again, it's just, you don't have to do this transformation. This is just me doing it so that we can have, like, we can check how close our our how accurate is our calculation. I'm just gonna save this. Okay, so I will open my import from external data source. I'll enable, and I do have new. So I've done something new here. So what I then need to do is just go to my data and do refresh, and these numbers are automatically going to change. So you can see that's changed. Now you can then see that. So from December 1st, 2014, 2024 till now, it's about 100 and it's 183 days. We can confirm that by opening up our calculator and doing that particular confirmation, just to be sure, like a check to be sure that um so there's a date calculation. I'll do from today is we are already in June. That's interesting. 2024 December 1st. The date is 6 months, 1 day, which is 130 80 83 days, which is what we can get here. And so we can do from the July, um 6 is July, right? Yes, yeah, July 1st, 2020 2024. We have about 11 months, 1 day, which is about 336 days, which is 36 or 66. Oh, oh, sorry, June, not July. Sorry, apologies. June, this will be June 1st. Yes, 66 days. So you can see, give or take, we are actually correct. And so what this means is that by tomorrow the number is going to change because tomorrow is a new date. So because I use the date time dot now, so it's similar to if I say equal to today, and I'll basically today would always change tomorrow. Tomorrow, if we're alive, it will be the new today. So or if I say control semicolon, it will give me today's date. If I say control shift semicolon, it will give me today's time. So if I say control shift control semicolon and I give a space and I say control shift semicolon, it will give me both today's date and time, and basically, and what so yeah, a few interesting things I can do with Power Query. Extremely powerful but interesting stuff. So hopefully in our next session, I believe that we are actually going to work on some data, and the data we are going to be working with, it's a very interesting data. Now it looks like a pseudo data, like a made up data, but I coined it up from a data I personally have been working with or have worked with, and actually I'm about to work with it very soon. I've just been a little bit lazy. Let me see. Okay, so these are some of the projects so this financial modeling, a very interesting project. So we might be working on this hopefully in the next class, hopefully. So I want us to work on this project. Ordinarily I would have given you as a project, but I want us to work on it, and using Power Query, which I think is a very interesting project. I would send it to you. Let me see, so you can take a look at it. Let me send you the classroom. Let me just send you an invite, hopefully. So you would have a look at it. Just think over it. It's a very interesting project. This is a real life project. So it's not like it's a real life project. I that I worked once. I will discuss offline with you. Um, um, hopefully, um, what the project is about. So it's something I worked with over the course of some time, about 2 years. So let's see. Hmm. Okay, so I would send you the link now, and I want you to join this class specifically. What I want you to look at is the project too. I'm just gonna send it to you. So you take a look at it, and it's a very interesting project. I think we are going to solve it. I'm not really going to give you something to do, but you can try it. So you can build then an automated process for it, and you know, a very interesting project. Anywho, if you don't have any questions, you know how to reach out to me, and I'll be very happy to respond to your questions. If you have any difficulty doing anything, just let me know. With that, I would say thank you very much. Hopefully, we're going to do more examples. Then, I think this would be the end of use of Microsoft Excel. As I'm concerned, after Power Query, I consider you an intermediate level based on all what we've done so far in the course of 2 months. And so we'll be moving to the next chapter of our life, which is SQL. And that is far much more difficult, but when you get used to it you find it really easy. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and take care of yourself.